And one piece of news will be made before the debate even begins, and that is when Debra Medina walks onto that stage. In so doing, her campaign considers that a victory. But what happens next? Let's ask her. Hey, Debra, I look forward to meeting you for one thing tonight. How you doing?
Great, Mark.
Looking forward to it. All right, what's the plan? What's in your binder? What's the strategy tonight?
Well, I'm going to get out there and speak truth, I guess. That's what we've been doing since we started this campaign back in February, preparing to govern Texas and sharing that vision with the rest of the state. This is a great opportunity for us, clearly, and we're going to take full advantage of it. Looking forward to having the conversation tonight.
If one perceives your job and Senator Hutchison's as spreading a lot of reasons why Governor Perry shouldn't be governor anymore, on a debate stage with both of them, will you have material, A, why he doesn't need to be governor anymore, and B, why she doesn't need to replace him?
Absolutely. I'm going to talk about the fact that they're two sides of the same coin. They are both big government advocates. You know, Governor Perry was Democrat before he was Republican, and he continues to come to the table with that kind of a mindset, this idea that government fixes everything, and I think conservatives realize government can't fix anything. Get out of our way. Let the free market, let us take care of one another. Let the free market create jobs. Let us care for our neighbors. Quit trying to force the government to be all things to all people. That's not its role. That's the message we're going to deliver tonight.
If there are ways in which the governor's not conservative enough for you, or Senator Hutchison's not, let's cover a couple of those. But in what way do you perceive that the governor feels that government fixes everything?
Well, I guess the tragedy at Fort Hood is the most recent. You know, he wants to provide for psychological counseling in the wake of that tragedy. He wants to pick and choose what's coming out of this nationalization of health care to see what part of that is good for Texas. Are you kidding me? No part of it's good for Texas. You can't sit and wait and see what the bill's going to look like. It's clear to the whole state, the whole country for that matter, that there's nothing in Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution. We just have constant bombardment with these big government ideas, and he can't lift a finger really to stop that. Hasn't lifted a finger to stop it.
So you feel his opposition to Obamacare has been
lukewarm.
Lukewarm. Boy, help me with the psychological counseling after Fort Hood. Just what was it that he proposed that you didn't like?
His response there was to shift $1.5 million in the state budget to psychological counseling to prevent, I guess, the next to intercept the next deranged individual who might be having some mental problems, right, and commit such a crime. That's not the role of government. The role of government is justice, law enforcement, infrastructure at the state level, not health care. And if we were going to ensure that people were safe, we would promote, as our founders did, that people own weapons and protect themselves. We'd recognize, gosh, even on a military base, no amount of presence can protect you from that one individual. You've got to protect your own life, liberty, and property.
Yeah, we had a big chat in the days following that. The oddity that it struck some as strange that on a military base, almost everyone's unarmed. I guess because you think it's always going to be. What safer place could you be than in uniform on a military base? We now know otherwise. Does it strike you, unfortunately, but necessarily, that just about every member of our armed forces, even on our Army posts, Air Force bases, etc., should probably have a weapon if they wish?
Absolutely, I believe they should have a weapon, and I think that therein lies the flaw in the ideology. The founders laid the best blueprint, didn't they, for a free and prosperous society. I think all of us would say yes. The U.S. Constitution, the documents leading up to that, are the best blueprint ever laid for a free and prosperous society, and we keep ignoring it. They said men ought to own weapons to protect themselves, to protect their life and their liberty, not just from other men, but from a tyrannical government. And yet every time we have a Columbine or a Virginia Tech or a 9/11 or a Fort Hood, the knee-jerk reaction of our elected establishment folks is de-arm the people.
Let's cover a couple of things that will be covered tonight for sure. Texas has enormous upcoming transportation needs, no doubt about it, and apparently not enough money to address them. In the world of tolls or taxes or whatever, what is your thought to move Texas forward with its vast transportation needs?
Audit, transparency, accountability. we're getting about 96 cents of our gas tax money back in Texas, but even at that, we're diverting it to projects like rail that don't move people and don't do anything to improve the roads. Texans prefer to drive. Most in America prefer to drive. Get in a car, go where you need to go. Don't have to worry about somebody else's schedule. The bulk of those transportations ought to be going to highway and road development and infrastructure development, and instead it's being diverted to rail and other things, mass transit that's really not transporting any mass at all. And we have no accountability or efficiency in TxDOT.
Will that provide us with enough money for those needs, or will we at some point need more money? And if so, do you like tolls, do you like taxes, or cutting other things?
I think it's premature to be able to address that question when we don't have any idea about accountability, audit, or transparency. It's hard from an executive level to make that kind of an assessment right now. I think Texans have been held hostage, if you will, to this notion that we've got to cough up more money for transportation, and all the while we see transportation down pretty far on the list of funding priorities in the state's budget. We've got health care right at the top and education under that, and go down a ways and you finally get to transportation. So we're looking for an audit and some accountability, efficiency, transparency, and then perhaps moving some funds that we have dedicated elsewhere within the state budget over to transportation. I think most Texans would agree that that is, in fact, a proper role of the state government. We've talked a lot in this campaign about nullification. Even Senator Hutchison had introduced a bill some years ago in the U.S. Senate that Texas would be able to opt out of the federal gas tax scheme. We ought to nullify that, interpose against that, keep those dollars here in Texas. We're transferring the money to the federal treasury right now. How about we just ask Comptroller Combs to keep the money in Texas, and let's start spending it on Texas highways.
You may have just answered my last question, which is good because we're just about at the end here. But nullification's a growingly popular word. The notion of a state legislature resolving that something the federal government just did, Obamacare or whatever else, is unconstitutional. We are not bound by it. Is this something that, as governor, you can see pressing the legislature to do, either through health care or anything else that might come down the pike from these people?
Already doing it. You know, they're pressing really hard on state legislators and state senators right now, pressing hard on the governor to call a special session and nullify this federal health care. We can't wait until 2011. The taxes, the additional burden is going to hit our state and hit our citizens as soon as the president signs that bill. We need to join our sister states that are already moving to nullify and really let Washington know we're serious about the 10th Amendment.
Debra Medina, look forward to meeting you tonight. Good luck in the debate, and thanks very, very much for being with us.
Thank you, Mark.